Fungi from Yuggoth by H.P. Lovecraft. Recording by Morgan Scorpion. Part 1. Numbers 1 to 18. 1. The Book. The place was dark and dusty, and half lost in tangles of old alleys near the quays, reeking of strange things brought in from the seas, and with queer curls of fog that west winds tossed. Small lozenge panes, obscured by smoke and frost, just showed the books, in piles like twisted trees, rotting from floor to roof, congeries of crumbling elder lore at little cost. I entered, charmed, and from a cobwebbed heap took up the nearest tome and thumbed it through, trembling at curious words that seemed to keep some secret, monstrous if one only knew. Then, looking for some cellar old in craft, I could find nothing but a voice that laughed. 2. Pursuit. I held the book beneath my coat, at pains to hide the thing from sight in such a place, hurrying through the ancient harbour lanes, with often turning head and nervous pace. Dull, furtive windows in old tottering brick peered at me oddly as I hastened by, and thinking what they sheltered, I grew sick for a redeeming glimpse of clean blue sky. No one had seen me take the thing, but still a blank laugh echoed in my whirling head, and I could guess what nighted worlds of ill lurked in that volume I had coveted. The way grew strange, the walls alike and maddening, and far behind me, unseen feet were padding. 3. The Key. I do not know what windings in the waste of those strange sea lines brought me home once more, but on my porch I trembled, white with haste, to get inside and bolt the heavy door. I had the book that told the hidden way across the void and through the space-hung screens, that hold the undimensioned worlds at bay, and keep lost aeons to their own domains. At last the key was mine to those vague visions of sunset spires and twilight woods that brood, dim in the gulfs beyond this earth's precisions, lurking as memories of infinitude. The key was mine, but as I sat there mumbling, the attic window shook with a faint fumbling. 4. Recognition. The day had come again when as a child I saw, just once, that hollow of old oaks, grey with a ground mist that enfolds and chokes the slinking shapes which madness has defiled. It was the same. An herbage rank and wild clings round an altar whose carved sign invokes that nameless one to whom 1,000 smokes rose, aeons gone, from unclean towers up-piled. I saw the body spread on that dank stone, and knew those things which feasted were not men, but Yuggoth, past the starry voids, and then the body shrieked at me with a dead cry, and all too late I knew that it was I. 5. Homecoming. The demon said that he would take me home to the pale shadowy land I half recalled, as a high place of stair and terrace, walled with marble balustrades that sky winds comb, while miles below a maze of dome on dome, and tower on tower beside a sea lies sprawled. Once more, he told me, I would stand enthralled on those old heights, and hear the far-off foam. All this he promised, and through sunset's gate he swept me, past the lapping lakes of flame, and red gold thrones of gods without a name, who shriek in fear at some impending fate. Then a black gulf with sea sounds in the night. Here was your home, he mocked, when you had sight. 6. The Lamp. We found the lamp inside those hollow cliffs, whose chiselled sign no priest in Thebes could read, and from whose caverns frightened hieroglyphs warned every creature of earth's breed. No more was there, just that one brazen bowl with traces of a curious oil within, fretted with some obscurely patterned scroll, and symbols hinting vaguely of strange sin. Little the fears of 40 centuries meant to us, as we bore off our slender spoil, and when we scanned it in our darkened tent, we struck a match to test the ancient oil. It blazed. Great God! But the vast shapes we saw in that mad flash have seared our lives with awe. Number 7. Zaman's Hill. The great hill hung close over the old town, a precipice against the main street's end, green, tall, and wooded, looking darkly down upon the steeple at the highway bend. 200 years the whispers had been heard about what happened on the man-shunned slope, tales of an oddly mangled deer or bird, or of lost boys whose kin had ceased to hope. One day the mailman found no village there, nor were its folk or houses seen again. People came out from Aylesbury to stare, yet they all told the mailman it was plain that he was mad for saying he had spied the great hill's gluttonous eyes and jaws stretched wide. Number 8. The Port. 10 miles from Arkham, I had struck the trail that rides the cliff edge over Boynton Beach, and hoped that just at sunset I could reach the crest that looks on Innsmouth in the Vale. Far out at sea was a retreating sail, white as hard years of ancient winds could bleach, but evil with some portent beyond speech, so that I did not wave my hand or hail. Sails out of Innsmouth, echoing old renown of long-dead times, but now a too swift night is closing in, and I have reached the height whence I so often scan the distant town. The spires and roofs are there, but look! The gloom sinks on dark lanes, as lightless as the tomb. Number 9. The Courtyard. It was the city I had known before, the ancient leprous town where mongrel throngs chant to strange gods and beat unhallowed gongs in crypts beneath foul alleys near the shore. The rotting, fish-eyed houses leered at me from where they leaned, drunk and half-animate, as edging through the filth I passed the gate to the black courtyard where the man would be. The dark walls closed me in, and loud I cursed that ever I had come to such a den, when suddenly a score of windows burst into wild light, and swarmed with dancing men. Mad, soundless revels of the dragging dead, and not a corpse had either hands or head. Number 10. The Pigeon Flyers. They took me slumming, where gaunt walls of brick bulge outward with a viscous, stored-up evil, and twisted faces, thronging foul and thick, wink messages to alien god and devil. A million fires were blazing in the streets, and from flat roofs a furtive few would fly, bedraggled birds, into the yawning sky, while hidden drums droned on with measured beats. I knew those fires were brewing monstrous things, and that those birds of space had been outside. I guessed to what dark planets' crypts they plied, and what they brought from Thog beneath their wings. The others laughed, till struck too mute to speak, by what they glimpsed in one bird's evil beak. Number 11. The Well. Farmer Seth Atwood was past 80 when he tried to sink that deep well by his door, with only Ebb to help him bore and bore. We laughed, and hoped he'd soon be sane again. And yet instead, young Ebb went crazy too, so that they shipped him to the county farm. Seth bricked the well mouth up as tight as glue, then hacked an artery in his gnarled left arm. After the funeral, we felt bound to get out to that well and rip the bricks away, but all we saw were iron handholds set down a black hole deeper than we could say. And yet we put the bricks back, for we found the hole too deep for any line to sound. Number 12. The Howler. They told me not to take the Briggs Hill path that used to be the high road through to Zor, for Goody Watkins, hanged in 1704, had left a certain monstrous aftermath. Yet when I disobeyed, and had in view the vine-hung cottage by the great rock slope, I could not think of elms or hempen rope, but wondered why the house still seemed so new. Stopping a while to watch the fading day, I heard faint howls as from a room upstairs, when through the ivied panes one sunset ray struck in, and caught the howler unawares. I glimpsed, and ran in frenzy from the place, and from a four-pawed thing with human face. Chapter 13. Hesperia. The winter sunset, flaming beyond spires and chimneys half detached from this dull sphere, opens great gates to some forgotten year of elder splendours and divine desires. Expectant wonders burn in those rich fires, adventure fraught, and not untinged with fear. A row of sphinxes where the way leads clear, toward walls and turrets quivering to far lyres. It is the land where beauty's meaning flowers, where every unplaced memory has a source, where the great river Time begins its course down the vast void in starlit streams of ours. Dreams bring us close, but ancient lore repeats that human tread has never soiled these streets. 14. Star Winds. It is a certain hour of twilight glooms, mostly in autumn, when the star wind pours down hilltop streets, deserted out of doors, but showing every lamplight from snug rooms. The dead leaves rush in strange fantastic twists, and chimney smoke whirls round with alien grace, heeding geometries of outer space, while Fomalhaut peers in through southward mists. This is the hour when moonstruck poets know what fungi sprout in Yuggoth, and what scents and tints of flowers fill Nisson's continents, such as in no poor earthly garden blow. Yet for each dream these winds to us convey, a dozen more of ours they sweep away. 15. Antarctos. Deep in my dreams the great bird whispered queerly of the black cone amid the polar waste, pushing above the ice sheet lone and drearily, by storm-crazed aeons battered and defaced. Hither no living earth shapes take their courses, and only pale auroras and faint suns glow on that pitted rock, whose primal sources are guessed at dimly by the elder ones. If men should glimpse it, they would merely wonder what tricky mound of nature's build they spied, but the bird told of vaster parts, that under the mile-deep ice-shroud crouch and brood, and bide. God help the dreamer, whose mad visions show those dead eyes set in crystal gulfs below. 16. The Window. The house was old, with tangled wings outthrown, of which no one could ever half keep track, and in a small room somewhere near the back was an odd window sealed with ancient stone. There, in a dream-plagued childhood, quite alone I used to go, where night reigned vague and black, parting the cobwebs with a curious lack of fear, and with a wonder each time grown. One later day I brought the masons there, to find what view my dim forebears had shunned. But as they pierced the stone, a rush of air burst from the alien voids that yawned beyond. They fled. But I peered through, and found unrolled all the wild worlds of which my dreams had told. 17. A Memory. There were great steppes, and rocky table-lands, stretching half limitless in starlit night, with alien campfires shedding feeble light on beasts with tinkling bells, in shaggy bands. Far to the south the plain sloped low and wide, to a dark zigzag wall that lay like a huge python of some primal day, which endless time had chilled and petrified. I shivered oddly in the cold thin air, and wondered where I was and how I came, when a cloaked form against a campfire's glare rose and approached, and called me by my name. Staring at that dead face beneath the hood, I ceased to hope, because I understood. 18. The Gardens of Yin. Beyond that wall, whose ancient masonry reached almost to the sky in moss-thick towers, there would be terraced gardens, rich with flowers, and flutter of bird and butterfly and bee. There would be walks, and bridges arching over, warm lotus pools reflecting temple eaves, and cherry trees, with delicate boughs and leaves, against a pink sky where the herons hover. All would be there, for had not old dreams flung open the gate to that stone lantern maze, where drowsy streams spin out their winding ways, trailed by green vines from bending branches hung. I hurried, but when the wall rose, grim and great, I found there was no longer any gate.